As the fans wait for how this Avengers Doomsday prelude is about to continue from the Thunderbolts post-credit scene to the Avengers Doomsday setup in the Fantastic Four First Steps, already confirmed by Kevin Feige on an interview earlier this week, Marvel Television is also gearing up to release unexpectedly 6 episodes of Ironheart in 2 weeks. This release, while entering the new cycle of Marvel Television's new plan on Disney Plus to further differentiate the film's plot from the TV show's actual importance, was indeed part of the old model, Feige's 6 episodic event, that left a mixed to negative impression for fans online, stating the content provided for characters like Moon Knight, or even in some cases WandaVision, despite being a 9 episode series, wasn't fully fleshed out. Although I do believe that for Loki, the success that it had with the TVA and the Kang storyline, Wanda's story is definitely second in my MCU rankings. Ironheart follows Riri Williams, portrayed by Dominique Thorne, whom we've also met on Black Panther Wakanda Forever, as she had an internship led by Shuri and even took part in the third act of the Wakandans Against the Talokan. She is a young genius inventor determined to make her mark on the world as she returns to her hometown of Chicago. This is the place where she crosses paths with the Hood, Parker Robbins, played by Anthony Ramos, also seen in The Twisters or In the Heights. This show is basically going to be Riri needing the Hood's help to achieve her goal. We don't know what that is. Now, this may involve a premise of technology and magic fused together, as suggested by the latest trailer. Characters like Dormammu from Doctor Strange might be included in this show, as Marvel did post a list of 8 projects we should see in order to prepare for the series viewing. So at first, when they published the episode titles, right, with, Karma's a Glitch, that episode had an M with the red underlining. Now, this could be, Mephisto, character sought after by fans ever since WandaVision weekly releases led them to crazy theories all around, from Fox's X-Men with, Evan Peters as Quicksilver, to strong elements of the House of M storyline from the comics being adapted. Mephisto was set to be played by Sacha Baron Cohen, as Deadline did report this on 2022, when the show was filming and actively casting. However, even with Spider-Man Brand New Day next year, which in the comics is an event that follows the Mephisto One More Day storyline, and Peter goes to the devil as last resort to get Aunt May back to life. So this was sort of mirrored in the No Way Home with Doctor Strange's spell, but in different circumstances. I do believe that because of this, the Mephisto rumor mill has pretty much ran its course, and Dormammu should be the covert villain. He should be involved with the Hood, gaining these supernatural powers, and eventually I do think that he's going to be key for their ultimate face-off in the end. If they're going to have a face-off on episode 6, episode 5, we will remain to see how that goes. So the question here, in order to analyze this, is pretty much why is Ironheart getting released on this binge format? Despite characters like the Hood, having a huge coincidental background in the comics, with major characters like Doctor Doom, the MCU's big bag to wrap up the multiverse storyline. And, Dominic Thorne playing Coy in some interviews about in a second call sheet for Doomsday, or even these magical elements that would be crucial not to miss, for the battle against Doom. Sam Wilson hopefully, recruiting the best talented superheroes that he can get. So all of this being introduced in Ironheart, it all just comes down to ratings. I do believe that, of course, Daredevil's Born Again series, it had an overhaul and it was great in the end. Don't get me wrong, but it's clear that it will benefit more, season 2 and future seasons beyond, season 1, more than it did season 1 itself. The mess of most episodes' endings, maybe the reason why it didn't connect to audiences, and it underperformed for the streaming services standards. And as opposed to the weekly model, we have, of course, Andor season 2 coming in with the 3 episode per week, and that was huge for the ratings. So this might be a shift of approach that, of course, is based on the latest, franchise hits. So it can also be a message from Disney with how some Marvel projects are perceived as less strong or impactful. I did see Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, saying that they want to focus on quality more than in quantity for the MCU, and you're trying to benefit the studio's profits on other franchises. And pretty much, that's why, Avengers Doomsday got pushed to December 2026. Same thing happened with Streaker Wars. And so this pretty much completely shows that some projects might be undermined in the release schedule, although some fans might, love some distant in-universe stories like Echo and What If. in these cases, those two are perhaps less connected to the mainstream MCU as, Ironheart. Echo is a Daredevil MCU Street spinoff, likely more in the Marvel spotlight area. And What If just didn't live up to its potential. It could be, it could have been a powerful harbinger for the multiverse saga, connecting all these stories all around. But, you know, an example of, What If's biggest miss, for example, is the missed connectivity with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, we have Captain Carter, but Captain Carter appeared too much in those shows. So it wasn't really the strong move. Maybe a much more successful tie-in would be great in order to, repurpose the value on the show. Now, maybe this is a strategy, to get, less Marvel in the audience's faces. We have Vision Quest coming in 2026. That should be the biggest TV show project since Agatha All Along, and of course Daredevil Season 1. But we also have shows like Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda, and even Wonder Man, despite the latter falling into the new Marvel spotlight regime, that are not being billed as the most important for a big storyline. So there's a lot of issues that need to be covered for Marvel Studios in the future. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the video. We will do an Avengers Doomsday breakdown of, who could be in a second call sheet and more this week.